Welcome, Charter Local Edition here. Brad Pomerance in the Inland Empire, joined today by Joe Brady. He is a trustee with the Victor Valley Community College District. And so I want to speak with you, given that you are running for re-election. You are running in a unique year. This is not a traditional presidential election. We have a woman as the Democratic nominee. We have a non-politician as the Republican nominee. And the country is in a, how do I say it, a state we've not been in. How is it to run in that environment on the local level?
One, it's costly.
Well stated.
Nobody knows. Nobody knows. So you can talk to political consultants. I deal with a gentleman by the name of Drew Mercy.
Right.
Drew's a great friend. He's my campaign manager. Nobody really knows. We think we have an idea. So obviously, I think we're going to have a high turnout. What's going to happen? I don't know. I just know it's going to be very expensive. If people knew what we spent the first time, they'd be shocked. We cover 1,950 square miles, which is a pretty good size.
Big.
We have 350,000 residents. We have 150,000 registered voters, and we spent $72,000 to set a record. And I beat my opponent, who's our current board president, by 450 votes, and I had 46,000 votes. So it was kind of crazy. So when we did the budget this time, Drew and I were on the phone the other night.
Right.
I was watching one of the political conventions. Right. I said, Drew, I said, we have to do something different.
And the challenge becomes, when you think about the state ballot, at least 17 measures on that state ballot initiatives. Is your race going to be after that on the ballot?
Yeah.
I mean, so you got to convince people to go through President, U.S. Senate, Congress, State Assembly. Do you have a state Senate race going on?
Yep.
State Senate, county, state propositions, and then they may get to you.
They will. I believe in the residents in the high desert. They care about the issues out there. They care about the propositions. They care about their college. The question is how many people are going to be in the race. We don't know.
And let's talk about the high desert, because in a lot of ways I feel like the high desert is just a different version of Ohio or Michigan or Wisconsin or Pennsylvania. Kind of, it's got a Rust Belt feel to it. Still struggling to come out of the recession. Jobs are leaving. Maybe they'll come back. Maybe they won't. Or am I misreading the high desert now?
No, I think what happened is we got clobbered pretty hard from the 2008 downturn.
Right.
Housing prices had peaked at 330,000, dropped down to 110,000. We're now at about 200,000. Unemployment numbers have improved, but I think as you look at the unemployment numbers across the country, and I think where some people are I think, candidly misled, 14 million people in this country are no longer on the rolls.
Right.
So that's a pretty staggering number. We have somewhat of the same problems within our high desert region, and one of the concerns that I have, and I think that where the college can be kind of an impetus in this next go-around, is to have the college hold the dialogue to what are we going to do about the creation of long-standing sustainable jobs. With those comes back home building. We've been an area that traditionally, very similar to Palmdale, Lancaster, and the Coachella Valley, home building is a major component. Along with that comes land speculation and commercial development and things like that.
But are there jobs to support the new homes? Because, look, I remember the LA Times did that extensive series on Hesperia, where, I mean, they had these beautiful developments that were being built, and then they were stopped in the middle, and the region was just obliterated.
Out of our housing stock of probably close to 90,000 single family, we lost 26,000 in that downturn. That's a big number. So a good portion of that went, probably 85% went to investors. And the cities are tackling the code enforcement issue and all the fallout from that. And we've been pretty vocal about you need to clean up the neighborhoods. You need to have some consistent and cohesive code enforcement program. Then hopefully the jobs will return. Hopefully the employers will come back into the market.
And who are the employers? Because we know that we'll call it the incarceration industry is successful in the high desert. We know logistics is successful in the high desert. I think our friends in Hesperia are banking on marijuana being successful in the high desert.
It's actually Atlanta.
Atlanta, you're right.
Atlanta.
Thank you for that correction, sir.
Their council would be upset if they thought that another council was.
Thank you for that. What other industries are hot, or are we looking to attract?
Well, our major industry, unfortunately, is government. Our school districts are the biggest employers on up there. Mining was traditionally the
mining.
major.
What about mining?
Mining is a great. We've got Mitsubishi Cement. We have High Desert Materials. We have a lot of people in that industry. We have CEMEX. Well, actually, CEMEX is now Cal Portland, which was Riverside Cement. So you have a lot of people in that industry. That has slowed down somewhat within our region, but still they're exporting out a lot of what they mine to places like Vegas and the Inland Empire here. Real estate speculation, real estate was a huge industry. We are still a huge industry, but we're not to the point that we were before.
So what are your
prisons are? I mean, prisons are a large. We're actually running kind of an informal study right now to see how many jobs the federal prisons do very well. You've got the federal prisons, and then you have the privately run
and let's
GEO.
talk about the private prisons, because those have become quite controversial.
Correct.
And there are some political leaders that are agitating to have the private prison industry all but eliminated.
Well, Adelanto has tried to sit down with GEO, because that's where all the private prisons are, and try to get additional fees out of them for roads and parks and things like that. The federal facilities, which we've had more of an interaction with, we go to their advisory board meetings on a quarterly basis. Their employees are paid well. When they go in to get a loan to buy a house, I mean, they've got a good W-9. They're very bankable.
But if I don't know that I would bank on private prisons doing well into the next decade.
Well, private prisons are run based on a for-profit model.
Right, and
so that's where I think the issue comes. I think that one of the debates that I hear pretty continually, people believe that some of our undesirable residents that have moved to High Desert have come because of these prisons. I'm not totally satisfied with it.
Is it because they want to work in the prisons, or because their relatives are in the prisons?
Because they have relatives there. We worked with Richard Worthington and Jackie Crawford, the Mulaski group of companies out of Las Vegas, who had proposed to our governor to build and lease back to the state a $1.2 billion prison, 3,000 beds, 1,000 plus jobs.
Public prison.
Public prison. Public union support, which is great. Great paying jobs, state run. And unfortunately, the governor had other ideas and really wanted to take whatever money to the railroad to nowhere, I call it, versus taking the issue of AB 109 and Prop 47 and dealing with it.
Although one could argue, with prison populations down because of AB 109, because of 47, do we need more prisons? But I do think there's a consensus
I
that
absolutely
we need to
believe
look towards prison construction.
If you look at, you're not going to have the same fear if you live in Newport Beach or Costa Mesa or Santa Barbara or Ventura as you do these outlying communities that where some of these people are released, and some of the people that have gone out and been released have gone out and committed some very serious crime since.
But are you a fan of more prisons in your community? I mean, look, like you said, well-paying jobs.
I'm not necessarily in favor of more prisons in our community. I am in favor of more prisons within our state.
You just feel as if they need to be well dispersed.
Absolutely, and I think that the other issue is that we're not dealing with the recidivism issue the way that we need to. And I think the return to custody and how you transition people from the penal system back to the working environment is where we're challenged. The Mulaski group of companies has a project over in Las Vegas called Casa Grande. It is on Russell Avenue. You stand in front of this 7-acre facility and look right at the MGM, and everybody that is a resident in there is on their way out to get a real job, and they're working while they're there. And they've created a model that works, and I've seen it work.
He's Joe Brady. I'm Brad Pomerance, Charter Local Edition.